Welcome to our channel. Today we delve into a thought-provoking topic that challenges our understanding of capitalism. Many believe that consumers are the lifeblood of capitalism, driving demand and fostering economic growth. However, in this video, we will explore a contrasting perspective. Reasons why consumers may not be as crucial as we think for capitalism to function. So buckle up as we explore this intriguing perspective and unveil some surprising insights. The foundations of capitalism. To truly grasp why consumers might not be essential for capitalism to function, we must first understand the fundamentals of this economic system. At its core, capitalism revolves around private ownership of the means of production and the pursuit of profit. The central driver is the entrepreneur or capitalist, who invests capital in production and takes risks to generate profits. Role of producers and innovators. In capitalist economies, producers and innovators play a pivotal role in driving economic growth and progress. Their ability to identify market opportunities, create new products, and improve existing ones is crucial for the sustainable development of industries. These visionary entrepreneurs are motivated by the pursuit of profit and the desire to outcompete their rivals. Consider the story of Steve Jobs and Apple. Jobs' visionary leadership revolutionized the tech industry, introducing game-changing products like the iPod, iPhone, and iPad. Apple's success was not solely driven by existing consumer demand, as the market for smartphones and tablets was relatively nascent. Instead, Apple's innovative products created new consumer desires, leading to the exponential growth of these markets. Capital accumulation and investment. Capitalism thrives on the principle of reinvestment and capital accumulation. Profitable businesses can reinvest surplus earnings into expanding operations, adopting advanced technologies, and investing in research and development. This cycle of capital reinvestment fosters economic growth and facilitates the creation of new industries. For example, during times of economic expansion, companies tend to increase their investments in machinery, infrastructure, and workforce, further stimulating economic activity. A study by the National Bureau of Economic Research revealed that higher levels of investment lead to increased productivity and, ultimately, economic growth. Export-oriented economies. Countries that adopt an export-oriented strategy can sustain their economies without being heavily dependent on domestic consumer demand. By producing goods and services for international markets, these nations can diversify their revenue streams and reduce vulnerability to fluctuations in local consumption patterns. Germany is a prime example of an export-oriented economy. The country's manufacturing prowess, especially in the automotive sector, has led to a significant portion of its GDP coming from exports. By catering to global demand, Germany's economy remains robust, even when domestic consumption faces challenges. Military-industrial complex. The military-industrial complex is a term used to describe the interdependence between the defense industry, government, and military. While often controversial, this complex can drive economic activity and employment opportunities, even without being directly tied to consumer preferences. During times of armed conflict or military buildup, defense spending increases, leading to an influx of contracts and production orders for the defense industry. This, in turn, stimulates various sectors of the economy, such as technology, manufacturing, and logistics. Government spending and intervention. In capitalist societies, government spending and intervention can act as a buffer during economic downturns or crises. By injecting funds into key sectors or providing financial assistance to businesses and individuals, governments can stabilize the economy and foster growth. Keynesian economics. Keynesian economics is an economic theory developed by the British economist John Maynard Keynes during the early 20th century. It gained prominence during the Great Depression and has since become a significant influence on economic policies in many countries. Keynesian economics challenges the classical economic theory's assumption that markets are self-regulating and that economies will naturally return to full employment in the long run. Instead, Keynes argued that government intervention is necessary to stabilize economies and promote economic growth. Keynesian economics is built on several key principles. Aggregate demand. Keynes focused on the concept of aggregate demand, which refers to the total demand for goods and services in an economy at any given time. He argued that fluctuations in aggregate demand could lead to periods of recession or high unemployment. Consumption and saving. Keynes emphasized the importance of consumer spending in driving economic activity. When consumers spend less and save more, aggregate demand falls, leading to decreased production, investment, and employment. Investment and capital formation. Keynes believed that private investment was inherently unstable and subject to fluctuations. In times of economic uncertainty, businesses may become hesitant to invest, which can exacerbate economic downturns. Role of government. One of the central tenets of Keynesian economics is the active role of government in managing the economy. Keynes argued that during periods of economic downturn, the government should step in to boost aggregate demand through increased public spending and investment. Fiscal policy. Keynes advocated for expansionary fiscal policies during recessions. This involves increasing government spending on public projects, infrastructure, and social programs to create jobs and stimulate economic activity. Monetary policy. In addition to fiscal policy, Keynes recognized the importance of monetary policy in managing the economy. By adjusting interest rates and the money supply, central banks can influence borrowing and spending behavior. The primary goal of Keynesian economics is to achieve full employment and stable economic growth. During times of recession, the theory suggests that governments should increase spending and lower taxes to boost demand, stimulate economic activity, and reduce unemployment. Conversely, during periods of high inflation and economic overheating, the government should adopt contractionary policies to curb spending and prevent excessive price increases. Keynesian economics has been widely debated and refined over the years, and different variations of the theory have emerged. Critics argue that excessive government intervention can lead to inefficiencies and distortions in the economy. Nonetheless, Keynesian principles continue to influence economic policymaking and are often employed by governments worldwide during economic downturns to stimulate growth and employment. Aggregate demand is a fundamental concept in macroeconomics that represents the total demand for all goods and services in an economy at a given price level and within a specific period. It serves as a key indicator of an economy's overall health and is critical in understanding how changes in spending patterns impact economic growth and inflation. Aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is composed of four main components. Consumer spending, C. This is the largest component of aggregate demand and represents the total spending by households on goods and services. Consumer spending is influenced by factors such as disposable income, consumer confidence, interest rates, and expectations about the future economy. Investment spending, I. Investment spending refers to the total spending by businesses on capital goods, such as machinery, equipment, and buildings, as well as on research and development. Business investment is influenced by factors such as interest rates, corporate profits, technological advancements, and business expectations. Government spending, G. Government spending includes all expenditures made by the government on public goods and services, such as infrastructure, education, healthcare, defense, and social programs. Government spending is determined by fiscal policies set by the government, such as budget allocations and taxation. Net exports, imports, XM. Net exports represent the difference between the value of a country's exports and the value of its imports. If a country exports more than it imports, a trade surplus, it adds to aggregate demand. Conversely, if a country imports more than it exports, a trade deficit, it subtracts from aggregate demand. The aggregate demand curve shows the relationship between the overall price level in the economy, measured by the price index, such as the Consumer Price Index, CPI, and the quantity of goods and services demanded. It is downward sloping, indicating an inverse relationship between the price level and the level of real GDP demanded. When the overall price level falls, deflation, the purchasing power of consumers increases, leading to higher consumer spending and a rise in aggregate demand. On the other hand, when the price level rises, inflation, the purchasing power of consumers decreases, leading to lower consumer spending and a decrease in aggregate demand. Shifts in the aggregate demand curve can occur due to various factors. Changes in consumer confidence. If consumers feel optimistic about the economy's future, they are more likely to increase their spending, shifting the aggregate demand curve to the right. Conversely, if consumer confidence declines, spending may decrease, shifting the curve to the left. Monetary policy. Central banks can influence aggregate demand through monetary policy. Lowering interest rates makes borrowing cheaper, encouraging consumer spending and business investment, thus shifting the aggregate demand curve to the right. Conversely, raising interest rates can have the opposite effect. Fiscal policy. Government spending and taxation policies also impact aggregate demand. Increasing government spending or cutting taxes can boost aggregate demand, while reducing government spending or raising taxes can have the opposite effect. Global factors. Changes in international trade conditions, such as shifts in exchange rates or changes in global demand for a country's exports, can affect net exports and influence aggregate demand. Resource-based economies. Resource-based economies can thrive based on the exploitation and export of natural resources, even when consumer demand is not the primary driver of economic growth. Countries like Saudi Arabia, with its abundant oil reserves, or Russia, with vast natural resources, generate substantial revenues from exporting these commodities. This income helps sustain their economies, despite fluctuations in global consumer demand. Niche markets and luxury goods. Some businesses flourish by catering to niche markets or providing luxury goods and services. While the customer base might be smaller, the high profitability and exclusivity of these products can drive economic success. Companies like Lamborghini or Chanel focus on creating high-end luxury products for a select clientele. These consumers' preferences and purchasing power are less affected by economic fluctuations, enabling these businesses to maintain profitability during economic downturns. Conclusion. In conclusion, the belief that consumers are the sole drivers of capitalism is challenged by the multitude of factors that contribute to the system's functioning and prosperity. While consumers indeed play a vital role in shaping demand and influencing the economy, producers, innovators, exporters, government intervention, and other economic elements demonstrate the resilience and versatility of capitalism. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey through the intricacies of capitalism. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more engaging content. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.